Amid concerns over the effectiveness of the ANC to govern South Africa and its internal power struggles, social unrest and deliberate acts of sabotage continue to disrupt South Africa's industries and economy.
Half South Africa's 35 million adults are thought to still live below the poverty line, and youth unemployment is at around 50%. The pandemic hasn't helped, and the government has given grants to people affected by the pandemic, but have not been able to be as generous as Western countries have with their furlough schemes. Current senior leader of the ANC, Matthew Fosa, says, let us not again blame apartheid or the global economy. This, he says, was an event of our own making, and we have blood on our hands.
Joining us, this is weekly contributor Brian E. Muhammad, Final Call news writer. Greetings, sir.
Greetings, Sister Rosalind. Good to be back.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, has the ANC outlived its effectiveness and ability to govern South Africa?
I'll say this, the ANC came to power in 1994. And I just want to take this opportunity, of course, to correct a number. I said 24 years last week, but it's actually they've been in power for 27 years now. Okay. And, they're the first democratically elected government. Before that, it was white settler minority rule who ruled strictly by white supremacy. And so when they came to power, the ANC came to power, they made many promises to the people, of how life would be better, how, it would be a better South Africa under our rule. And of course, everybody believed. Nobody wanted to see the ANC fail. When you look at it 27 years later, we have to take an assessment. We have to take an assessment of the party. We have to take an assessment of its leadership. And we have to take an assessment based on the condition of the South African people. And so I don't know if we can say that it outlived its effectiveness. There were many factors to why it could not fulfill what it set out to fulfill, but there are other factors that we have to look at where they should take a self-assessment of themselves. And, and so I wouldn't say that they outlived it, but certainly they have not fulfilled the promises and the great hope that the world had in the ANC coming to power.
Mm-hmm. Now, has the ineffectiveness of the ANC and President Ramaphosa's governance been instrumental in creating a climate for social unrest to take hold in the country?
I would say yes. I'm reluctant to blame President Ramaphosa by name because he only came to power himself. He became president in 2018 or 2019. The Nelson Mandela Foundation, which is the foundation that's set up to keep the legacy of Nelson Mandela alive in the world, they said that violence in South Africa has been growing at disturbing levels over the last 2 decades. So this is something that has been happening over time. I just want to read a quote from them because I think it kind of tells the story to the question you asked. The Nelson Mandela Foundation said, there are too many people feeling discarded and in despair. Too many people with nothing to lose. Too many people who have seen political and other elites at all levels play fast and loose with the law and with impunity. See, when they came to power, white people were in control of the economy, in control of the military, in control of the country. For 400 years or 4 centuries, they've been in control. What we see now is a situation where white people are still in control of the economy in South Africa. But now you have these groupings of filthy rich blacks as well. So now you got a serious class issue going on of serious haves and serious have-nots. And so I would say to that degree, we can say, yes, the ANC government has to take some responsibility again for the lack of distribution of wealth and equality. I'm gonna give you one example.
Okay.
Land reform. All of the land that white people took in those 4 centuries that they were there, the demand is for the ANC to take that land back from them and give it to its rightful owner, the true Africans, the black people in South Africa. Well, they were reluctant to make that a reality. They made deals where they want to pay white people for the land, and a lot of people with some sense will say, no, don't pay them a dime. They did not pay you for the land, they stole the land. So now you steal my land, now I got to pay you to get my property back. So they got these type of things going on, and frankly, I think that the populace in South Africa, black South Africa, is frankly tired.
I think so. Now, was the corruption charges of former President Zuma, who we spoke about just briefly last week, part of an internal power struggle with members of the ANC?
Well, I would say partly. I can't say whether he was corrupt or not. I mean, there are those who take the position that he was corrupt. But the charges of corruption and the turn that those charges took, at least when he was forced to leave power in 2018 under the cloud of these corruption charges, we can ask the question to the ANC. Well, what was your motivation? Was it justice to really push out a criminal? Or was it your political infighting within the party, and that was your stick? That was your pretext to get rid of him. Now, again, I'm not claiming he was or was not corrupt.
Right.
But I'm saying the motivation within the party. So some of the energy around these charges, yes, I believe, had a lot to do with the political infighting within the ANC party.
Okay. Now, briefly, we saw in the clip some of the damage that is currently happening in South Africa. What types of infrastructure and industry have been affected by that damage during this crisis?
Well, they interfered with over-the-road trucking. They interfered with the ports. See, the area that this happened in, this area called KwaZulu-Natal, and which is the province that also includes Durban. These are the major port areas. Let me give you some facts about these areas in answering that question.
Sure.
It said that one KwaZulu-Natal accounts for 16% of South Africa's gross domestic product, the income, right? The Durban port is among the 3 largest, not just in South Africa, but in Africa. And it handles 31.4 million tons of cargo a year and generates 60% of all South African trade. Now, there's a problem. See, to interfere with that has wider implications, because Durban, if it's generating 60% of all South African trade, that means strategically it has the propensity to disrupt trade economics in Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, and Malawi, that whole Southern African region. Not to mention other countries that use that port to do business with South Africa.
Right.
So it's major.
It's huge. Is the infrastructure damage and acts of sabotage an indication that South Africa is disintegrating?
I would say yes. It appears that South Africa, at the least, the government is unraveling, disintegrating. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, and these things again are designed to disrupt the flow in hopes that it will create more chaos, more mayhem, and that in hopes that the government will collapse. Now, that's what people are saying. So, yeah, there are people who believe that this is very deliberately done for political aims, to disrupt and, at worst, overthrow the government of the ANC. Because it's just, these aren't things that ordinary people out of their dissatisfaction just rise up and disrupt. When we saw the so-called riots, you saw them taking food, you saw them taking things that they needed in their lives. That's different.
Right.
But ports and blowing up or burning over the road trucks, meaning goods being interfered with being distributed throughout the country, that's business. That's politics.
That's right.
So there is, I would say that there is more than likely, is plausible, I would say, that it was deliberately done, these interferences.
Okay. And very quickly, Brother Brian, speaking of the deliberate acts of sabotage, has the deployment of more than 20,000 troops to assist police in quelling the unrest in South Africa been successful at ending the crisis?
Well, the crisis, the people in the streets, from what I can see from a distance, has died down.
Okay.
But what I would like the ANC and the president of South Africa to consider, 20,000 troops on your own people is almost like what white people did, or can be likened to what white people did when they were in power, over those decades that they were in power. If so, you may have quelled down the stuff going on in the streets, but what you have to now consider is the condition that is left, the condition that was there before they went into the streets, and the condition that is still there now that have died down.
Right. All right, Brother Brian, thank you as always for your insight on this topic, and we look forward to hearing more from you again next week.
Thank you, Sister Rosalind.
Yes, sir. Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. Coming up, we will interview Maryam K. Muhammad, founder of the Heal Thy Life Center, a center dedicated to addressing the health condition of women and girls in our communities. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NMV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NMVnews.com.
Heal Thy Life Center educates women and girls on how to live healthier lifestyles through workshops and seminars while simultaneously providing them with products to maintain their health and the health of those in their care. Joining us is founder Maryam K. Muhammad. Greetings, ma'am.
Greetings.
You are the creator of Heal Thy Life, which is a space where women and girls can obtain healing information. What inspired the creation of this space?
I would definitely say it is what was already in me. I don't feel like, some people have stories like, I saw this and I knew that was me. I think it was with me all my life. I really think during the creation of my womb, being in my mother's womb, that it's something that God put in me from the beginning. And through my life experiences, it was nurtured and my passion was brewing to heal God's women and girls. So the life experiences, seeing my grandmother do her work, learning more and more about her story, seeing my mother go through sacrifice and pain in her journey, meeting other women in life who went through similar things, doing community outreach with the MGT, all of that played a role in assisting to bring out that passion that God placed in me.
Do you feel there's a lack or a void of this type of information or even this type of space for space like yours in today's society?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like women are treated as if we're a new species to the planet. When it comes to our health, whether mental health, physical health, spiritual health, we're treated as if we're new. The time that it takes to learn how our bodies function is put to the sideline. If you look at the medical industry, we're not a priority. So when you go to the OB-GYN or you get a checkup and they're telling you, oh, you're okay, and you're describing your signs and symptoms and they're trying to tell you it's normal, but it's not normal. Or they're experimenting on us, or everything is always so extreme. I may be having pain in my reproductive system. Oh, she needs a hysterectomy. Like everything, the responses are always so extreme instead of taking the time to learn how our bodies work and giving the proper preventative medicine, right, as well as the proper care that it takes for us to heal properly. And I do believe that we don't have enough avenues that love us, that care for us, that is willing to take the time that is needed to nurture us. Since we are the nurturers, right, we deserve to be nurtured as well.
That's right.
And we don't have enough platforms that give women what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings give to us, which is understanding our value, understanding our worth, understanding that no human being can come on this planet unless it comes through the womb of a woman. Right. So knowing that we are a gift to this world, that alone helps with mental health in securing who we are. So I absolutely, of course, love what Allah is blessing me to do with his women and girls. But I definitely do believe we need more platforms and we need more people to love on us and assist us through our healing process.
Right. Now, you mentioned the teachings. How have the teachings influenced your own healing?
Ooh, it is my foundation. It starts in my DNA. My grandmother, Sister Bernstein Muhammad, was the secretary to Allah in person, Master Farad Muhammad. So he entitled her the reformer. I feel the essence of that reforming when I am going through my healing process, whether it's the healing process from a surgery, whether it's the healing process from verbal abuse that I've been through in my life, physical abuse that I've been through in my life. All of those experiences, I pull on her essence and her energy to heal from that. And when I look at both of my grandparents, her husband was the youngest brother to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he took me in as a child, like right underneath his wing. So as a young child, I used to write in his newspaper and things of that nature. But that helped instilled faith in me. I truly believe that through the teachings, my faith has become larger than the size of a mustard seed. Mm. And it is because of the foundation I was blessed to have through my family, through watching my mother, like I said, the sacrifices that she made, but she was always praying. She always had faith. She knew a change would come. That example in front of me helped to bring that passion out of me and grow my faith. And when I'm meditating, I think of the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he stated in Closing the Gap how it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the blood to circulate through the body from the top of your head down to the bottom of your feet, back to the top of your head. Mm-hmm. And my background is in biomedical sciences. So understanding that the blood carries everything that we need, oxygen, nutrients, minerals. But my grandmother always said that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that for the physical systems of the body, there's also a spiritual component to every system of the body. So yes. Understanding that my spiritual circulation, I have to focus on that being positive every 8 minutes and 20 seconds throughout the day. Is very important that we let go of that negative energy. And we bring in that positive energy, learning the respiratory system, learning how to breathe spiritually assists the healing of the physical. So I focus and love on all of those words and all of those examples that we have before all of us to feed off of. That is the core essence of my healing process, because I have been through a lot. My journey has not been easy, but my faith has been strong because of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Perfect. Now, you are an author of 3 or so books thus far. Can you talk to us just a little bit about each of those books?
Sure, absolutely. So I have my very first book, Why I Am Enough. That was my baby. And that book is affirmations. It's a lot of poetry in there to heal us through. It's like that loving communication that we need to get us out of a rut, to get out of the mental state that I am no good, or any type of title or stereotype that people have placed on us. That first book is key for that. I've had women tell me that they carry it around in their purse, so that they can just pull it out and just open it up to a page that they may need for that moment. And the funny thing is, when I first sent off for the book, after it was published, when I received it, it was smaller than I expected. And I was like, this ain't my baby. But the thought that came in my mind was, women will need to carry this with them where they go. So I received that and I moved out with it. And then the next book was The Power to Break Generational Pain. That book, that book really is a part of a painful journey for me, a painful journey that I've witnessed other women go through. And even going into the schools and talking to young women and talking to girls and teen mothers or people who've been abused, that book is steps on how to get through the generational pain that we carry, that it's time for us to break that cycle. And the workbook just complements both of the books to continue to take you through the steps needed to heal yourself, because all of us are healers. We just have to tap into it and understand what our healing powers are and how do we use them to heal ourselves.
With this information, with the books, with the classes, how can you be reached? There are so many of us women and girls who have experiences that we may not even realize were traumatizing.
Yeah.
What can we do to reach you, to donate? Do you have speaking engagements coming up? Can you talk to us a little bit about how to reach you and what you have coming up for us in the future?
Absolutely. Our Facebook page, mine is Maryam Kalila. Everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't tweet too much, but Instagram and Facebook, I do a lot. I'm now doing the TikTok stuff too, but it's HTLC19, the website, HTLC19.com. I can be reached anywhere on those platforms because I'm always responding to DMs and all of that stuff. So I can be reached those ways. Right now, the projects that we're working on is our Fit for Motherhood program. For the month of August, we will be giving away school supplies, 95 book bags filled with school supplies. We have adopted an elementary school that we will be taking there. We also have two high schools that we have adopted this fall that we will be taking our Fit for Motherhood program in. The program every 90 days also gives Pampers, wipes, any type of supplies that mothers may need for their children 5 years old and younger. So that includes clothing. We will be doing a coat drive in the winter. So that's like my baby project right now. I'm putting a lot of focus on that to help mothers in need. And then on the Heal Thy Life side, we have the Healing University online where you can take courses to heal yourself from the generational pain that we all are going through. And I love the fact of how you brought up, that we have traumas that we don't know we're suffering from. A lot of times we're in situations and you don't know that you're functioning incorrectly or at a low level until you see what it feels like to be back normal, or what it feels like to be healed from the trauma that you actually have gone through. So we all need healing. Yes. All of us need to be healed from something, whether it's genetics or what have you. But we definitely all need to be healed.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to run to the website and buy all three books just to hear what you have got to say, because like you said, we are just working with things. We are very much an afterthought in this society. So
that's right. And we're on Amazon too. My books are on Amazon as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing more from you. Thank you. Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors. When we return, Ankhet Rumi will join us for an interview on her art, her poetry, and social justice. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Ankhet Rumi is a poet, podcaster, social activist, and artist. Focusing on her portraits on outstanding revolutionaries, she strives to present she strives to present each of them in their divine masculine and feminine. Joining us to speak more about her poetry is Ankhet Rumi. Thank you for joining us, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes.
Can you give us a short overview of what you do and how you came into your purpose?
Yes, ma'am. I can give you a short overview. I love history, and I love our history in particular. And I study our history so much. And sometimes I just feel like there's something missing. Like I want to tell our stories in a way that's celebratory and not necessarily so sad. So I focus on people in our history who are traditionally celebrated, for instance, Harriet Tubman. But intricately, we don't really know Harriet. And so I tell our stories in a way that we get to celebrate the full being. It's not just like these little snippets of history that we get, from historical books, I guess, traditional historical books. But just doing like deep research, reading her autobiographies, reading anything written on her in that time when she was alive, and trying to convey just how amazing we are through art and poetry and research.
Now, what are some of the things and some of the people who inspire you?
I know we were talking about South Africa, so I have to mention Sarah Baartman, who I added to the series, and I made her a saint. And my reasoning is she was kind of taken away from us. She was literally like stolen from us and then made to live a life that she was not happy with. She died at 26. She was known to have been alcoholic. But before that, she was a mother and a wife and a daughter. And both of her parents died fighting the Dutch. Her husband died fighting the Dutch. Her son died of illnesses. She later was sent to Cape Cod and learned 4 languages. I mean, like this, to me, I feel like just the life she led was worthy of us at least wanting to know her a little bit deeper and knowing her as an intellectual and a wife and a mother, not just, referenced as a Hottentot or a Venus Hottentot, or just to tell our stories. So she fascinates me, just knowing, and also that she somehow kept a bit of her dignity in her world. For instance, when she was in France, some biologists wanted to study her female anatomy, and she refused. So she did somehow keep some of her dignity, but of course by then, when she died, those same biologists just took her physical body and casted it. And in 2001, Nelson Mandela requested that they send her body back so she could be put to rest properly. But, if you see some of the paintings of her, I've never seen her in a beautiful white gown with flowers in her hair and flowers on her hands and a halo behind her head. And I feel like it's really empowering for me as a woman to see her that way and to recognize her that way because I said so, not because a Dutch took her and told us what to see her like, like many of our stories.
Right. When you write and when you paint, what are some of the things that you try to impart onto those who encounter your work? Like you just said in your description about Sarah Baartman, you painted her in clothed. Most of the time we see her, she is unclothed, and we hear about her traumatizing story. Is the humanness what you try to impart? What is it that you're trying to get across to us who view your art or read your poetry?
I would like for us to see her as more than human, as a saint in particular, as someone who represents us taking our images back. Like we can take her back. She doesn't have to go down in history like she has. And, even, with her being nude in her cultural context, in the Khoikhoi environment, that is completely natural. However, in the context of being a circus, in a circus, it's quite shameful. So I would like for someone to see the painting and see her largely famous figure, like recognizably famous figure, but to see her in a beautiful way. Not saying that her being nude is not beautiful, because again, she is culturally, that is where her family's from, South Africa. And we're talking about the Khoikhoi people, but in the context of what happened to her in Europe. So I would like for someone to see that painting and be intrigued, and then possibly read the poem. Black woman, we admire you. Every flower in the universe would not be enough, but still we honor you. And we put them in your hair, in your hands, and at your feet. So I would hope that it could at least make an impression that when someone thought of Sarah Baartman, it wouldn't naturally be, I'm not even going to repeat what people say when I say, do you know Sarah Baartman? But it would be, oh, Saint Sarah Baartman. She represented us as Black women, claiming our imagery back from the hands of colonialists. I mean, this was in the 1700s. It's not feasible anymore in 2021 to see her that way.
That's right. Now, you have a wonderful name. Can you share with us the history or some insight behind your name?
Yes, ma'am. When I was not doing very well, I was feeling very sick, and I had two communities that came to the forefront for me. Okay. The Kemetic yoga community in Atlanta, Georgia, who taught me all kinds of breathing techniques. And there's a wonderful instructor named Garu in Atlanta who taught me so much. And then there was another community, the Sufi Muslim community, that in fact, Rumi was the major poet that really opened up my heart and made me decide that I wanted to be alive. And then from there, a particular teacher named Sheikh Sufi actually gave me the name Rumi when I started studying with them. He said, every other thing you say is like a quote from Rumi. Let's just call you Rumi. So the name is in honor of these communities that are traditionally, historically, if you trace them back, Kemetic, African. So again, just another way for me to show my love and homage to our culture.
Perfect. Now, are there any additional projects that you are currently working on that you could share with us?
Yes, ma'am. So the Saint project is an ongoing project. There's so many people in our lineage, our cultural lineage, that we overlooked. Peter Gordon, Serene Saliu. There's revolutionaries that we don't even know the names of, but they have such amazing stories. And I think that they represent the divinity. Like, I hear so much talk about like divine masculine and divine feminine. And when I hear these things, I think that the revolutionary aspect can really be a part of the conversation, because when we talk about divine femininity, we're talking about Nanny of the Maroons. It's not necessarily, like sexy stuff.
Right.
We're talking about Empress Taitu and Empress Menin. And when we're talking about divine masculine, we're talking about Thomas Sankara, Sheikh Amadou Bamba. So the series, the Saint series, is just a continual series that I'll just continue to be adding. I just finished Haile Selassie and Assata Shakur. So yeah, just a continual addition to telling their stories, painting their pictures.
Okay, perfect. Now, how can you be reached, and are donations accepted for your work?
Yes, ma'am. I could be reached. My website is my name, Ankhet Rumi. Ankh is just like the Egyptian Ankh, feminine form et, and Rumi, R-U-M-I, at AnkhetRumi.com. Also, my Instagram, Sister Maryam said it earlier, I'm always answering DMs. This is true. So
Yeah.
My Instagram, again, is my name, Ankhet Rumi. My YouTube is Ankhet Rumi. My email is ankhetrumi@gmail.com. So any one of those, but my website is really nice. If anyone wanted to see just like a culmination of all the paintings, even ones that we didn't get to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining us. The work that you and Sister Maryam are doing is wonderful, and I feel like they parallel. Whether it's through her classes or through your art and poetry, there's some healing that's taking place in regard to just women and girls, but just the culture overall. So I appreciate you coming on today, and I look forward to seeing more of your wonderful paintings.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today and tuning into National Network View News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Rosalind Parks for National Network View News. Good night.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.